Alright guys, time to grab it back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday so far, and today we are going to talk about the Seattle Surge. Last night they confirmed their roster officially for the CDL 2021 season. This was the rumoured roster that we talked about a while ago on this channel. Some interesting back and forths have happened since then, but this now has been officially confirmed. It's an interesting team. In theory, it should be an upgrade over last season, but there's definitely some question marks I have around this squad, and I'm very intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for doing that. Let's hop into things then. So Seattle Surge yesterday say stay tuned, kind of well saying the announcement is coming very soon indeed. We get this as well. So as Crone says, CoD community are some of the best detectives in the world, and Accuracy sent me this. So pretty much on that on that reveal video that we just saw, like kind of teaser video, you can see Pristini and Gunless. They tried to write some of this in like Latin, but you can see Gunless is like an anagram right here, and also in this image as well, Pristini and Octane's on the other side. We already knew Octane was going to be there, and then they officially confirmed it. Operation is to go meet your Seattle Surge squad. So they go through Octane. I'll just kind of skip through this video because we kind of knew this was coming, but it was somewhat unsure what the SMG duo was going to be. They reveal Octane. They officially confirm Gunless onto the team. They talk about Pristini as well, and then Looney as the final piece of the squad. So yes, this is your 2021 Seattle Surge. Honestly, a pretty good announcement, all things considered, even though they baited it the other day with the 50,000 followers thing, whatever. This team is now officially confirmed. Octane, Gunless, Pristini, and Looney is the team of 4. Certainly an interesting squad. Looney does this video as well. I'll have to play this for you guys at the end of the video because this is obviously absolutely hilarious. Looks like he has a gun pointed at him the entire time, but this is then what Octane confirms. Welcome to the team, Gunless, Pristini, and reunited with Looney. I got help, hashtag drown them out. So interesting squad. Let's look at this from a top-down perspective then, because Octane and Gunless as your main AR flex combination. This is a duo which we really didn't expect to see necessarily, because Octane's talked about it in the past, and Gunless has talked on the Esports podcast that Octane didn't want to play with him, right? And he talks about in a little clip I'll probably share later in the video that, Octane basically just hit Gunless up like, yo, do you want to win? Gunless was like, yeah, I'm down if Hector wants to release me. That ends up happening. Of course, he gets released off the Chicago Huntsman where he was benched mid-season, and then teaming up with Octane. Interesting duo. On paper, the firepower from Octane and Gunless is absolutely out of this world, right? In terms of a main assault rifle, who do you want as your main AR in the entire game? Like, Octane's got to be one of the very first picks. Then is your flex player in terms of like gun skill and, winning, I suppose, potential as Gunless has done over the last couple of years. Gunless has certainly got to be a flex right up there. So Octane and Gunless as your like AR flex combination is absolutely fantastic, right? And that can, that can rival any team in the entire game. When we get down to the SMG line though, this is where the questions start to come in. And I've said over the last few videos, and yes, we're going back to a 4v4, maybe a slower environment now. So maybe it plays more similarly to World War II. And I think that's what Minnesota Rocker maybe, and also, this team are thinking about is that, okay, maybe the gameplay is a little bit slower. We can get away with some SMGs that aren't necessarily like super cracked out. But I think that might come back to bite them here. So let's look at the Looney pick first. This is the one that I really like out of the two, to be honest, because Looney has experience, as we'll just look at, playing with these players. Because as you can see, Rise Nation back in the Black Ops 3 days, even Advanced Warfare on Team Envy, Looney and Octane have been a long-time duo. They had a pretty decent amount of success together. Like, they're a very solid team throughout Black Ops 3, even when the OpTic Gaming Dynasty was kind of wrecking stuff. I mean, they won UMG South Carolina at this point, and Looney stayed on Rise Nation for a long time after this, because as you can see here, Looney then played with Gunless on this team in the World War II days, where they had so much success, right? They won Atlanta, they won Seattle, they won Anaheim, they fell short of the World Championships, and Gunless has talked about on the Esports podcast, like, Looney was effectively his favorite teammate of all time. They got the best out of each other, and Looney wasn't afraid to call Gunless out and challenge his opinions on how the game should be played. And I think that if anything, Gunless and Looney, like, if there's one player in the game that's going to keep Gunless in check and going to prevent this team from falling apart, as Gunless's teams tend to do in like April or May every single year. They've done it this year, did it in Infinite Warfare, of course, with the Luminosity Gaming team in Black Ops 4 as well. The only team that didn't do that really was Rise Nation, and yes, they were winning, but Looney was on this team, right? And so effectively now, this Seattle Surge squad is very similar to this Rise Nation team in World War II. Looney and Gunless, instead of Slasher, we have Octane, and instead of TJ Halley, we have Pristini. So I think the Looney pickup is great. If there's someone that you want to make sure can keep Gunless in check and actually kind of merge the two of Octane and Gunless on a team, because clearly, maybe they weren't too keen to team together, as we talked about in the past, but Octane respects Looney, Gunless respects Looney, and they can kind of come together as this trio. And Looney's been a very solid player over a number of years. He's pretty much won a championship in every single game. I mean, obviously Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare being an exception. So these two titles in 5v5 haven't been so great for him, right? And he wasn't exactly a great player in either of those games. But World War II, like Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, he was certainly a solid player and, got decent results on these teams. and, well, could put up numbers when it mattered. However, what you will notice about this Rise Nation team is that they had TJ Halley, right? They had a very top quality slaying SMG on this squad, and this is what I think this team is really missing. So let's move on to the fourth player on the team, of course, that being Pristini. As you can see right here, experienced teaming with Gunless. I mean, I've just looked at this from Gunless's perspective here, but yeah, teaming with Looney, of course, throughout World War II. Actually teamed with Octane on this Luminosity squad of the Canadian Championship Series show match, if you guys remember that one. But teamed with Pristini, of course, on E United when they all had their breakout. So maybe Gunless was of the mind, wanted to get back with Pristini. I know Pristini's one of his best friends, like one of his closest, closest buddies, I suppose, that he can really put his trust into. So maybe Gunless wanted to team with Pristini. And Pristini talks about, as we'll look at in a couple of seconds here, that he's now being put into a more slaying role on the squad. But can he fulfill that slaying role? That is the big question mark to me with this team, because I think they have a lot of potential, but the SMG line is just not as strong as a number of the other squads that we have in the league right now. This is, well, as Crone says, these are the 5 teams that are locked in the league. These are the other, well, rumoured rosters as it stands right now. And let's just look at Pristini and Looney versus some of the other confirmations. We've got a BZ and Simp, Hugin Shotty, Envoy and Scump, Priester and Attach. Some of these other combinations as well, like, TJ and Kenny, Zuma and Mac, Dylan and Alex, for example. Like, Pristini and Looney, I think, are going to struggle to compete with this. And the Looney pick, as I said, I think is fine, given the chemistry with Gunless and Octane, and Looney has been a very serviceable player over a number of years. However, I think as your fourth, you really needed like a very solid slaying SMG, and I do rate Pristini and what he can bring to a squad. I think he's certainly a valuable player. Like, he's no doubt he's a world champion right on a United. Yes, his team had Clayster, RCD, Simp and Abizi, but Pristini, played a valuable role on that team, and all the guys on the United squad would say he did. He wasn't necessarily there to put up numbers, he was there to do the dirty work and, hit rotations and fly in first when it needed to be done. So he'd certainly played a valuable role on that team. However, the problem with Pristini, in my opinion, at least in this squad, is that he's a pretty hot and cold player, right? Like, he's probably one of the more emotional players in the league. If he runs hot, he's absolutely going off. If he's cold, then he's not putting up the numbers that, well, we really need out of him on a squad like this. Because in terms of your SMG duo right now, compared to the other ones we just looked at, Pristini might have a difficult time slaying out. Pristini really hasn't played this SMG slayer role for a very long time. So I think like a more obvious pick in this position would be a guy like John. Question mark is, like, is John allowed to compete? Like, what's going on? Which team will he potentially get on? A New York Subline is going to pick him up. But I mean, like, Gunless, Octane, Looney, John could have been great on paper. And I'm not saying that Pristini won't be able to fulfill this role, but I'm just saying that, like, if this is your core 3 and Pristini is your actual, like, fast pace, like, he's your first man in SMG Slayer, there's a lot of better picks in theory out on the market than Pristini, or at least more proven picks in that role. So that's the question to me. Gunless and Octane are, undoubtedly competitive with anyone in the league, but the SMG duo, in my opinion, nowadays is the most important aspect of the team. That's why basically any main AR would pick a BZ and Simp over any single other 2 players in the entire league, because once you've got the SMG line set, the rest of your team falls into place. This team has effectively done it the other way around. Like, they have the top-down approach, but Pristini and Looney, who are actually going to be in there in the thick of it, might have a difficult time slaying compared to some of the SMG duos, and that's going to leave Octane and Gunless in a difficult position to actually win games, even if they are dropping 1.2s. So we'll just share a couple of clips here that came out last night. This one from Pristini talking about how he's relishing the opportunity to play this Slayer SMG role, but then again, were there better opportunities out there? And also this one as well of how Octane and Gunless came to team. Pretty entertaining.
Selfless teammates, so I can play my role a little bit more better, like how I want to, and I can actually play for kills and shit. So I'm gonna play a completely different sub role this year. I actually like kill people.
Want a team and shit on everyone, please. That is what I said to Pierce, and he said, I'm down. He said, hopefully Hector is nice and lets me go, and then Hector proceeded to let him go. That's how that went. That was the conversation.
So to finish the video, let's look at some Rostermania rumours. As Crone says, hearing that Zero is likely London's 4th, Zed could be the substitute alongside, of course, Dylan, Alex and Shawnee. Zero in here, Zed as the sub, kind of makes sense. And well, just to clear up the New York situation, Hydra is definitely on New York, but it's not clear as yet whether he will be a starter. If John is allowed to play, which I do not believe is clear yet, I believe that will become clear over the coming days. And if that is the case, John will more than likely, I'd imagine, be a starter on that team, and Hydra as a substitute. Pretty difficult one for Hydra, but if you're a guy like John, probably the second best SMG in Call of Duty history after Scump, Aberdeen's certainly up there in conversation as well. It's pretty tough to, bring John back and put him straight on the bench, and I imagine a lot of the pros imagine that if he does come into New York, he'll probably be on the starting lineup alongside Zuma, Mac, and Clayster, but all things still to be determined. We also had MattG yesterday basically saying in this clip that TJ is going to be staying on OpTic Gaming, so Slasher, Kenny, TJ, +1, a big question mark around the 4th right now. now. Temp is the going rumour, but who knows how things will go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for making it this far. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. Blue like buttons make the world go round. Helps make YouTube know that you like this content. Maybe other people like you will like these videos as well. Subscribe if you are new. As always, make sure you don't miss any of the Rostermania updates and all the drama that's going to happen over the coming days. I am sure the Call of Duty community never fails. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.
New team, new look. Alexa, drown them out.
Okay.
We back.